Okay, somebody wants me to look at Fastly. I don't know these guys too well. Looks like it's kind of like Akamai, kind of a CDN. We're working on these descriptions. We have something really cool planned for descriptions. You're going to like it. Nobody's ever done it, the thing we're going to do there. Okay, so let's look at Fastly real quick. It's funny, like, it's not even clear where you'd put these guys. I guess it's enterprise cloud. Yeah, why not? Slum Duke, what's up? What happened with community notes? Oh, yeah, there's a few ways to do that. I think that's an interesting idea too. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to put your own description in there, including with Markdown, like fuck this company or something if you want. But I think one of the things that like it would be nice to do is to not have these really verbose descriptions. So you could just toggle a thing that's like Axon makes tasers, Pfizer makes drugs. Like that's it. Because like to hear all the corporate speak, like Pfizer is developing pharmaceuticals for a better tomorrow. We, do groundbreaking research and blah 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 blah. Pfizer's a drug company. That's it. That's all you need to know. So yeah, D-Wave's just trash. This is no other way to put it. I can't wait for their quarterly results. Maybe they'll come close to break even someday. Yeah, I've hired chemists before. I like chemists. Rigetti's earnings are gonna be terrible too. I've used I've done annealing and I've done simulating annealing, and it just doesn't. It's there's nobody that's ever shown that it's useful. Yeah, IVD could be a good buy again. Okay, so Fastly share price 684. Shares outstanding 140 million. You multiply those two together, we get the market cap. The market cap is 960 million. So this company is just below the $1 billion mark, which sort of makes it a small cap, I would say. But 960 million ain't what it used to be. But it's it's a smallish company. They have some cash, but they also have just as much debt. So they arguably don't have any cash on a net basis. They just have, in fact, a little bit of negative cash. So, but they also have a bunch of property and plant and equipment. So they have a bunch of servers. Those are worth something, but they'll probably depreciate out anyway. So, basically the enterprise value is roughly 1 billion. Okay, so Fastly, the name and ticker on my screen, in case you're missing it. And so it looks like there's CDN. Let's look at the revenue. It looks like revenue grew, which is nice. Just shorting some more quantum computing. I'm short almost 200,000 shares of Rigetti and around 100,000 shares of IonQ and around 50,000 shares of D-Wave. That's my current picture. Are they like Cloudflare or are they like Akamai? I think they're more like Akamai, but I read one whole sentence, so. No, these companies don't have sales growth either. D-Wave's not growing. And their product isn't useful. That's the most important thing. They're trying to make a new kind of computer, but it's not computing anything. It's pretty hard to make a new kind of computer, it turns out. Transistors are pretty good. NVIDIA did it. NVIDIA did it by reordering the sections of the computer until it went faster. So it's not like it's not doable, but it is not easy. The people at Intel and NVIDIA and AMD have thought about how to make the fastest computer possible for a really long time. People in academics have thought about how do I make the fastest computer for a really long time. You know, hobbyists have. I do think, you know, eventually we will have, you know, hey Humphrey, how are you? I think we will have faster computers someday. Like, for example, I don't know why clock speed. I mean, one of the simplest things is clock speed. You know, everybody knows they have a 3 gigahertz computer or 4 gigahertz processor in their computer. Well, that means that it can do 4 billion cycles a second. That's what a hertz is, whether it's any kind of wavelength. But, you know, why can't that be trillion? Why can't that be quadrillion, et cetera? There's probably some good reasons for that. I'm not a physicist. But I think, you know, we may just need to switch to a different type of material or whatever the case may be. Yeah, there's all kinds of good physical reasons for that. But again, you know, human ingenuity is unlimited. Okay, so you can see last quarter, at least, Fastly grew 7%. I don't think there's diminishing returns at clock speed if you can keep going. You know, there you go. Thank you, Kami, as an expert in this area. But yeah, how fast does it take to load an electron? But, you know, there could be a different way to do it, is all I'm saying. And that's sort of the promise of quantum computing. It's the promise of optical computing. It's the promise of thermodynamic computing. The thermodynamic computing guys are talking a big game. They're all saying that they're talking about this year, next year for thermo. Now, thermo is a brand new idea. You know, we're friends with the people, or the person, really, that kind of came up with it. It's sort of a different form of analog computing, if you ask me. It's very interesting. What exactly it's good for, we sort of don't know yet. Is it going to be general purpose? Is it going to be algorithm specific? Either which way, I think it's kind of an interesting idea. And again, I don't think that analog is over. But believing in analog computing is like believing in ESP. Or something like that. Well, I mean, certainly nature is performing all kinds of calculations better than we can, very quickly, even on the macroscopic scale. So I wouldn't short nature just yet. On the quantum mechanical scale, it's doing even faster, but we can't see or observe that or really understand that. I guess we can observe it a little bit, but we don't understand it well, I don't think. And now we talk about memristors. Yeah, I mean, there's neuromorphic computing. Hewlett is sort of still, I think, in the memristor game, as are some Chinese companies and some American companies. Okay, so on a GAAP basis, at the very least, Fastly does not make money. They have around a 54% margin. No profits to speak of on a GAAP basis, but the cash flow picture should be interesting. Yeah, Viking is currently swimming up Schitt's Creek, if you haven't heard of it. And they currently don't have a paddle. Yeah, that's about right. Unfortunately. All right, so it looks like Fastly is sort of break even. Slightly profitable. So trailing 9 months, which is 3 quarters, they made 11 million. Which isn't, too great if your enterprise value is $1 billion, so not like ostensibly cheap. But like, could there be costs that they cut, or if revenue keeps growing, can you get somewhere better? Probably. But they also have CapEx, so that CapEx nullifies a lot of that. Here's their CapEx. CapEx can actually, in one case here, wipes out their earnings completely. So we just have to look at some more numbers and see if a different picture might emerge, but it's definitely possibly not great. Mostly network services, which, yeah, it sounds like CDN. Those are some risk factors. All right, let's take a look at the market real quick. Nvidia down 4%. That's not good. That's pretty much going to weigh on the market right there. Bitcoin really falling off after a nice weekend. It might be over. It might be over. Yeah, if crypto strategic reserve, if the government buying a bunch of speculative assets can't get the market up, the government's out there saying, we want to take risk. Let's go. And everyone's like, why don't you go ahead and do that? We're going to sit over here. I mean, quantum has been pummeled, right? So I think, it having a tiny bit of a bounce is not unreasonable. But that bounce is about to be over. Yeah, it's kind of over. It's over for everything, honestly. I mean, if this can't get crypto up, it can't get speculative shit like Rigetti up. Trump token rally lasted 5 minutes. Farcoin is one beacon of hope. But Farcoin had been pummeled so bad that, people just gave up on Farcoin. So Farcoin, is going to make some baggies still, but Farcoin's last fart. Yeah, the tariffs were the mistake. I mean, tariffs were a huge mistake, and probably the immigration stuff too. And I like how Trump's handling most things. But, the insistence on the border, probably not. You sort of need to keep the people coming to the country. I mean, to grow the economy. But who am I? I mean, what do I know? It might work out just fine. What did Steve Cohen say? The toxic brew? He said there was 3 toxic brew components. I named 2 of them. What was the third one? Galaxy gas. Austerity. Thank you. Yeah, Doge is pretty bad for the economy if you think about it. Now, it's a bitter pill. In the long run, Doge is great. You have to repurpose all those people and give them real jobs. I mean, that's not, which one is better? In the short term, though, Doge is a problem. But in the long term, Doge is great. You don't want people sitting there wasting away, doing absolutely nothing. Now, one question is, what would those people be doing without government jobs, without handouts? Are those the kind of people that are actually going to ever be that productive? You think about the lady at the DMV or whatever, a government bureaucrat, and you say, this person could never have a real job. So it's sort of a little scary in that sense, right? I saw the David Sachs thing. I don't think people like David Sachs are interested in using the government to boost their holdings. There probably are other people interested in doing that, but I don't think it's coming from like a David Sachs or a Thiel or whatever. These guys don't care enough. They make plenty of money on other shit. Boosting crypto is not the goal. And the people like Ripple, I mean, they want to see it happen, but they also, it's not like they're going to get rich today or tomorrow. It's not like they're placing trades to do that. I think, there are other people doing that. I think the people that make Solana, the people that make Ripple, the people that make Cardano, all those people probably lobby a little bit, which is fine. Nothing wrong with lobbying. And the message of, American-made crypto, it's reasonable. Hey, if you're going to do something, you got to include us. We're at least we're American-made. It's not a bad message, It's funny. We were day trading. We were day trading this weekend in my Discord just for fun, shits and giggles. And we were long. We bought Solana, okay? And I noticed like every little dip in Solana was bought quickly. And of course, I didn't think this thing would happen. But I should have, this is the reason traders like to follow price action. Because somebody did know. They were eating every little dip. So we were long. And then for some dumb reason, we switched to short. And again, every dip was eaten and we got liquidated. And then, of course, 8 hours later, the news came out. So it was a really funny kind of thing. Yeah, let me see. I have some positions to put on here. I hate trading because it distracts me from helping you guys. But I also don't want, I want to have skin in the game. If we see a good idea, I want to actually do it. So it's sort of a double-edged sword. I still haven't found that perfect balance, and I promise you I will. Well, there we go. But for now, and then there's some trades I want to keep private, and there's some trades I don't, and it's just a big cluster. But I will get that balance just right. I don't have any guides on this channel yet, but I will make some kind of guide at some point. I was going to do that one of these weekends, but again, I have so much to do. I run the software company. You know, I have to train for the world's strongest man competition. There's so much to do. I just don't have that kind of time. You know? I have to do the rap Olympics, freestyle, best freestylist in the universe contest. It's not easy being greasy. Krypton. No, I have one company, Udar. I have one company, DL Software, and we have largely one product, which is Godel. World Series of Dice. The Kings of Click Clack. My girlfriend's parents have such a good sense of humor, but I want to start to. I'm such a troll. I should probably not do that, but like I want to start trolling them a little bit and be like, well, something that's like not too damaging, but like still funny. What do you guys think? How do I pull this off? Maybe I should tell them that we're doing like a gang initiation or something, and we have to tattoo their daughter. That'd be good. We're all getting gang tattoos. It's not a big deal, Mom. It's not a big deal. Stop. Yeah, I like that. That's funny. All right, of course somebody had to make it weird. I was attacked by the Matrix. I think they know I was attacked by the Matrix. But, you know, there's also, you know, there's important ideals I think a lot of people don't have anymore, which is forgiveness and you can do better next time. Like, that's not, you know, that's something our society completely undervalues. Not that I feel like I made any mistakes, but to like, I have this one friend that was like, well, yeah, maybe you made some mistakes and, you know, you learn from it. And that's it. And I'm like, I'll take that. You know, it's not you know, there is, you know, kind of turning the cheek and hoping the person grows, and I don't know, something like that. I think I'm mixing metaphors, but yeah, exactly. If people don't get forgiven, what's the point of releasing them? If you can't rehabilitate, then what's the point of, yeah, the whole system anyway? You know, penitence should only, you know, only go so far, and it should only go so far, but you have to be somewhat open-minded about, okay, what is a person's circumstances? Why did it result in that kind of behavior? And yes, you know, is our system like vindictive and tricky once the government makes the system? So once they want you in trouble, they'll sort of make sure that you get in trouble. But I think a lot of things are changing. Like one of the biggest things is this guy Richard Hart. Do you guys know who this is? Richard Hart is like this crypto scammer, and I don't use that word lightly, but I really do think the guy's a true scammer. And Richard just had his case dropped by the SEC. And the big question was the DOJ going to come after him? And it appears the DOJ is not going to come after him, which is great for him. You know, I don't wish jail on anybody, but just seeing the double standard now that, you know, the guy is going to be unfettered again and free again. I hope he doesn't make the same mistakes as before, because that statute of limitations is a son of a bitch. So, but yeah, he's sort of an odd character. Yeah, so we're in a weird place right now in the market. There's a lot of conflicting kind of views, and usually when that happens, I mean, sometimes the market will climb a wall of worry, but sometimes it won't, you know, and it looks like, at least for our speculative friends, we're shooting first, asking questions later. NVIDIA is down 4 or 5%, and I think that's the stock you have to focus on. But I also like to focus on these weird signs of bubble. MicroStrategy is a good one. DJT is a good one. The Quantum is a good one. All the quantum stocks are down. It doesn't mean anything that they're down today necessarily, right? I think the question is, what is the narrative that makes sense that you can weave from all this, which is we've had this excess for a while. The excess is sort of leaving the system. If Doge results in strong unemployment, it will also result in competition in the labor pool. A lot of competition lowers prices. It may not feel like that. If 10 people are interviewing for a job versus 6, does that mean that, you know, you can pick a lower priced candidate? Not exactly, but on the margin, it does put some pressure on wages. Now that's disinflationary, but at the same time, it's not good for the economy. If the labor market isn't tight, you want it to be somewhat tight. So kind of wild times we're in. Doge, the Doge effects will be interesting. They may not be relevant either. Doge may be one of those kind of nothing burgers. Okay, so we have the 10K open for Fastly. Let's read this and understand this company a little bit. Organizations around the world are more dependent on the quality of digital experiences they provide than ever before. We deliver an edge cloud platform capable of delivering fast, safe, and engaging digital experiences. By focusing holistically on the edge cloud, from developer inspiration to end user experience, we have the opportunity to differentiate with our global footprint, dynamic infrastructure, and security. Performance, security, and building the most engaging applications are paramount to our mission. The edge cloud is a category of infrastructure as a service that enables developers to build digital experience at the edge of the internet. This is the convergence of the CDN with functionality that has been traditionally delivered at hardware-centric applications such as application delivery controllers, ADC, web application firewalls, bot detection, DDoS, and observability solutions. It also includes the emergence of a new but growing edge compute market, which aims to move more power and logic closer to the data, closer to the user as possible. When milliseconds matter, processing at the edge is an ideal way to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I think we get what they do. They have a bunch of good metrics here. They're saying legacy CDNs don't keep up. WebAssembly, oh cool. WASM compilers. Load balancing. This is all kind of like pretty trad CDN type stuff. just, I mean, I think a lot of these bigger internet companies, they might do a deal with them. But legacy CDNs like Akamai and Edgio. All right. Akamai, AWS Cloudflare, F5, and Thales. Point CDN players like Bunny CDN. I've never heard of Bunny CDN. Okay, 1,200 employees. So for anybody who doesn't know, a CDN is basically a company that has servers around the country, and those servers, in essence, just cache popular sort of scripts and other data. So when a user hits the local server, they don't have to hop all the way to some other server to get the same data. So if you're in AWS Virginia, you don't have to send the user from California all the way to AWS Virginia. Top 10 customers. They have a lot of media and entertainment customers, so that's interesting. Maybe Disney or someone like that. Okay, I'm going to go through every risk factor. But we're curious, how do they price their product? What do they do differently from Akamai? All that stuff really does take a lot of time, so I can't do it here without boring the crap out of you guys. But that stuff is super important. It's like, so I want to make sure that you understand that, I'm sort of investing or recommending or trading with one hand tied behind my back because I don't exactly know too much about the company. Now, when I look at a pharma company, it's really easy for me. But this is interesting. This is super interesting, actually. Okay, here's some of the metrics that count. Quantum AI. Okay, so their average enterprise customer is doing almost $1 million. The retention rate is enormous, 99% retention. It's pretty good. Oh, they changed their methodology. Wonderful. How do you change the definition of a customer? Dollar-based net expansion, net retention rate, LTM net retention rate. I'm not going to include those. It's getting a little ridiculous. Okay, we'll do that when we get to the income statement. All right, it's pretty straightforward business. I mean, I think They were growing faster. Growth has slowed fairly dramatically for them. I wonder what Akamai's valuation is. Because these guys are 2 times sales. Margins aren't terrible. They're not software margins. They're more like cloud computing margins. And that makes sense because they just buy a bunch of servers and plop them down across the country. Why is that, Mr. Johns? In their own 10K, they compare themselves to Akamai. Okay, yeah, so they were growing a lot faster, as you guys can see. Oh, maybe my camera's in the way. But as you guys can see, they were growing 17% and 22%. And now I think they're growing quite a bit slower. But they're both CDNs. I mean, CDN is CDN, right? It's okay if you think one is better, but it's still a CDN. At least the company says it's better, but Akamai is not exactly. Nobody's saying Akamai's dead. We should look at Akamai after this to get a real picture. Fastly. Yeah, the slowdown in revenue is a little alarming, but let's read their press release. I'm sure they reported Q4, so maybe Q4 will give us some clues. But here's the most important thing, right? Which is, what are cash flows for the last several years? And you know, a growing company it's okay if they're unprofitable, right? But they're pretty unprofitable. They were pretty unprofitable. I think this year is the first year where they might show some more progress there. And if they can compete with Akamai, then great. Keep these consistent. I like Lantheus. All right, so let's look for the quarterly report. It should be right here somewhere. In Business Wire. Almost all the press releases are on Business Wire or PR Newswire. So here's, they do give guidance. They did 140,579. That's lower than I thought they'd do. Wow. So growth is now 2%. Hard to be too excited about that. If they're the new CDN, I don't want the old CDN. Cloudflare's growing a lot faster than them. So I don't know if I'd compare them to Cloudflare. It's kind of ugly. Oh man, look at the guidance for next quarter. Whoa! 136 to 140. Oh man. You guys see this? See this, chat? From 20% growth to 14 to 8 to 7 to 2 and 3. Bro, there's food and beverage companies with more growth than this. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. D-Wave's growing faster than this. This is an Edge CDN tech company. Come on, man. Do something. Do something. What's the guidance for the full year? Yeah, they're saying they'll grow a little better than that. They're saying they'll grow like 6-7% for the full year, but for the first quarter, they're going to grow 3%. So that's what IonQ is doing. They're saying, well, for the whole year, everything's great, but next quarter is going to be some shit. Don't worry, our sales reps will get it in gear in Q2 and Q3. It's just going to be atrocious for the first 3 months. Oh man, I don't know. In software, you have to grow. You really just have to grow. There's no choice. All right, so conceivably, cash flow for this year was 5? That sound right? No, I need it for the year. Okay, there it is. Okay, cash flow for the year was 16. Not bad. But CapEx was 10, which leaves us with 6 million free cash flow. I mean, it's going in the right direction. But without growth, it's kind of hard to grow that. Even if they make their 7%, which seems like a stretch given Q2 is 3% or Q1 is 3%, it's kind of hard to grow cash flow too much. Yeah, I would avoid this one. It could even be a short, arguably. Unless they have like a master plan for getting growth back, which I'm sure they do. Or there's some really good explanation why growth is temporarily slowed. I don't know. It seems like a real dog. Yeah, they must have something going on that I don't know. So